Alzheimer's. Why bother? Well, Alzheimer's disease sucks. Your memory goes in the toilet, your mood starts swinging out of control, and everything just gets harder. Your brain is the central control of your being, and when that starts to go, every aspect of you eventually follows. The likelihood of getting Alzheimer's increases with age, and as we live longer, we're all more likely to live to an age where the disease will affect us or someone we love. So that's why. That's why we should bother.
Now, what are we going to do about it? We're first year UV students, so probably can't just solve it, but we can investigate an area of Alzheimer's and try to better understand the research done so far. And with that, our problem statement. What potential do small molecule inhibitors have as a strategy for Alzheimer's treatment? With the bonus questions, is there a scientific basis for the continued research on amyloid beta when derived medications are largely unsuccessful? And why is there such poor translation between screening methodologies? Quick fact facts. A small molecule inhibitor inhibits macromolecules from sticking to each other by attaching to their aggregation sites. And amyloid beta is a peptide formed in the brain. Large tangles of amyloid beta in the brain are part of the pathology of Alzheimer's and also considered part of the cause.
So what have we done? To answer our questions, we did two things: a literature review of existing research and an experiment to better understand how this research may be conducted. We learned that there's a disconnect across different testing assays. Drug successful in simulation might not work in lab testing, and even if it all looks good in theory and in the lab, a drug might still not work in clinical trials. This is the story of amyloid beta inhibitors, and especially curcumin. It should work on paper, it does work in the lab, but then not really in humans. And we think we know why. So beyond the drastic increase in complexity when graduating from one assay type to another, small molecule amyloid inhibitors might just be late to the party. By the time Alzheimer's is diagnosed, amyloid has already run amok, creating tangles, killing neurons, and triggering other culprits to begin their destructive paths in the brain, aka a neurodegenerative cascade. So for these inhibitors to make a difference, they need to be administered before amyloid beta can trigger this cascade. This means earlier detection or preventative medication, allowing us to stop amyloid aggregation even before we know that it will pose an issue. But preventative medications have a high bar. They must be very cheap, very safe, because no one's going to buy medication that they might not need if it will cause side effects or drain their pockets.
Then we have our experiment. Cheap and safe, enter curcumin, a compound derived from turmeric, the yellow gingery spice. It's been studied since the 90s and researchers remain optimistic about its potential. An excellent candidate for our experiment. Except our results were not what we expected. Turns out curcumin is a pan-assay interference compound, which means curcumin can interfere with test results in a bunch of ways, making it hard to differentiate between curcumin inhibiting aggregation and curcumin inhibiting valid testing results. It doesn't mean that curcumin still isn't promising, though haters do exist. It just means that you need to be very, very aware of how you design your assay. Also, the reason curcumin hasn't worked in clinical trials may be due to poor bioavailability. Without specialized delivery, and usually even with, curcumin breaks down in our bloodstream before it can inhibit anything.
So to summarize, small molecule inhibitors still have real potential despite underwhelming trial results. They're pretty safe, cheap, and can be administered orally. But for them to be effective against amyloid aggregation, they must be administered earlier. And for curcumin especially, we also need much more improved bioavailability for it to do its job.